Hello, and welcome to Atkinson Construction's Worksite orientation. Atkinson Construction's #1 priority is your safety, along with everyone else on the job site. Our goal is to allow you to work in a safe environment and return home to your family. Every work site is different. That's why before you begin your work, Atkinson's site supervisor will show you your work area, locate facilities and muster points, inform you of potential hazards in your work area and how to mitigate them, and go over the site-specific emergency response plan. Before entering site, make sure you sign in on the Atkinson sign-in sheet. Standard site safety procedures. In the event of a chemical spill, freeze the scene and notify the site supervisor immediately for remedial action. All spills will be attended to as quickly and as safely as possible. Any workers using hazardous products for work will need to submit a copy of the safety data sheets to the site supervisor. ACL is committed to protecting and preserving the environment and to reduce the impact on all those around us. We encourage all workers to join us in our efforts. Responsibilities of the worker. On any Atkinson site, workers have the right to refuse unsafe work. The responsibilities of the worker are as follows. Follow safe work practices and procedures. If you are unsure of the procedure for your task, you should ask your supervisor before starting work. Report and correct any unsafe acts or conditions. You are responsible for your safety and the safety of others on site. If you see something unsafe, report it to the site supervisor or correct it if it doesn't compromise your safety. Reporting injuries. Any injury, no matter how small, should be reported to the site supervisor. Making safety suggestions. When it comes to safety, there's always room for improvement. Atkinson Construction encourages workers to make suggestions that may contribute to our safety culture. Complying with legislation. It is the worker's responsibility to comply with working procedures set by OH&S. Workplace violence and harassment. It is the worker's responsibility to report any violence on site to the site supervisor. Whether it be verbal or physical, Atkinson Construction does not condone these activities, and offenders are subject to disciplinary action from verbal warning up to removal from site. ACL is committed to minimizing the impact on those we are working around, including the public and the environment. That's why our hours of operation on all sites are from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., unless otherwise agreed upon by our client. If your work requires you to be working outside of these hours, you must clear it with your site supervisor first. Always remember to be respectful and control inappropriate language when working around the public. All Atkinson trailers and shacks are equipped with first aid kits and eye wash stations. Atkinson Construction will provide lunchrooms and washrooms if required. Before entering the site supervisor will inform you of the location of these facilities. Accident and incident reporting. In the event of an incident involving injury of a worker or damage to property, stop work and report it to the site supervisor immediately. In the event of an emergency, remove any injured person from the area only if it is safe to do so and contact the site supervisor. Never alter the scene of an incident. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is a worker's last line of defense. Your minimum requirement for PPE on any Atkinson site is a hard hat, safety glasses, high visibility clothing, and steel-toe boots. Some tasks may require specialized PPE, including, but not limited to, hearing protection, task-specific hand protection, fall protection, specialized eye protection or face shields, and respiratory protection. In some cases, your PPE may hinder you from performing a task. Ask the site supervisor before removing PPE and always keep it within arm's reach. All workers that are using specialized PPE for their task must be trained to do so and have the proper certification. If a client has a PPE requirement that exceeds that of Atkinson's, the client's requirement will be Atkinson's minimum requirement. ACL does not supply PPE. In the event that a worker does not have the minimum required PPE, the site supervisor will not let them on site. If a worker is not wearing PPE, the site supervisor will issue them a verbal warning. If a worker is repeatedly caught not wearing PPE, the site supervisor may issue them a $250 ticket per infraction, payable by the worker's employer. As I've said before, every worksite is different, so every site will have a different emergency plan. The site supervisor will inform you of the site muster points and the evacuation plan before entering the site. The muster locations and evacuation plans will be posted in the lunchrooms and the Atkinson site trailers. If you're using a tool or piece of equipment on site, you should be trained to do so. Atkinson Construction requires anyone operating a piece of equipment to be competent and certified if required. If you are unsure of how to use a tool, ask the site supervisor before you start work. As well, the speed limit is 30 kilometers on site unless otherwise posted. Tools and material must be stored safely, and when using and storing chemicals, you must follow the manufacturer's instructions. Any worker using a chemical or hazardous material for their task must have WMIS training. On any Atkinson site, we believe a clean work area is a safe work area. Before leaving your work area at the end of the day, take a look around and clean any materials or waste that may present a hazard. Make sure you dispose of any waste in the proper designated bins. On-site work practices. Atkinson Construction promotes safe work practices on all our sites. When working at a height above 10 feet or 3 meters, it is required that you are tied off with a harness and lanyard. When using ladders, use 3-point contact at all times. Do not carry tools up the ladder. Barricades and rails should be used along ledges and should always be taped off. Be sure to flag off your area if it presents a potential hazard to other workers. Smoking is not permitted on the building footprint. Designated smoking areas will be clearly marked. Anyone caught smoking outside the designated smoking area will be subject to disciplinary action. Now, before you start your work, you will be writing a test to ensure that you understand the information in this video. And following that, please review and familiarize yourself with site-specific details. Ask questions to your supervisor if you have any. Remember, safety is everyone's responsibility.